Hey fish friends, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Zenzo from Tazawa Tanks. Now, as you can see around me, I'm surrounded by aquariums. I have a lot of fish tanks, and I've got more upstairs. And I have fish from all around the world, from West Africa, East Africa, South America, Central America, Asia, probably Indonesia. I don't know, other areas. And these fish are all different variants. I've got cichlids, I have live bearing fish, I have gobies, I have puffers, I have brackish water fish, and everything in between, catfish. But for some reason, I'm always known as the African cichlid guy. Now, I don't know why that is, because I do make a lot of content on other types of fish, but maybe it's because my logo is an African cichlid. Here on my chest, there on the wall, plastered all over, all over the place. So that might be a reason, or it might be because the first couple of years of me making aquarium videos on YouTube were mostly about African cichlids. So maybe that's how a lot of people associated me with my channel. So anyway, what I thought I would do today is talk about African cichlids. For those of you that love African cichlids, I thought we would talk about African cichlids and also just, focus on them. Now, I'm not going to talk about West African cichlids. I'm not going to talk about Lake Tanganyikan cichlids or Lake Victorian cichlids or anything else. I'm only going to focus on Lake Malawi, because when people think about African cichlids, they pretty much think of peacocks, haplochromis, Mbuna, and that's about it. They're not thinking about like shell dwellers and rock dwellers and frontosa or jewel cichlids or anything else that comes from Africa that's a cichlid. They think African cichlids, they think colorful, Mbuna and peacocks and things like that. So I have 3 African cichlid tanks that fit that Lake Malawi area. I've got my peacock tank behind me, where you can see I've got a male who's kind of a bully. He's been showing aggressive behaviors for the past couple of months, and we'll talk about that in more detail. But that's my 90-gallon, 5-foot-long peacock tank and some hybrid haplochromis. I also have my Saulosi tank behind me. Now, I always call this a Saulosi tank because they're Saulosi, and you could call them Pseudotropheus Saulosi or Chindongo Saulosi. Both are accepted. And there are arguments about, what they should be called. But whether you're a Chindongo or a Pseudotropheus person, they are Saulosi, and they're beautiful fish. And then I have a tank of larger Mbuna that are behind me here, Mbuna being a rock-dwelling fish, and we'll talk about those as well. So let's start off with the peacock tank, and let's address the elephant in the room, because it's probably going to be apparent over my shoulder the whole video. Peacocks can be quite aggressive. In fact, African cichlids in general can be very aggressive, which is one of the drawbacks to African cichlids. It's one of the reasons why people shy away from them, or they try them and then they get frustrated and they move on to another type of fish, is because of the aggression. Now, in my situation, while I do have some aggression, it's not overly aggressive to where I have to intervene. There's plenty of space in the tank. I have hiding places if necessary. I've talked about this before. I've made videos showing you how to do like DIY hiding places in caves for your fish. But in this situation, I just have a male that likes to have his own area, and he's trying to just have his own territory, so he kind of herds the fish away. But I don't have any injuries on my fish. I don't have any fish deaths, and I've been managing it just fine the way it is. But that is one of the drawbacks of them. Now, there are lots and lots of wonderful things about African cichlids. They're beautiful, they're hardy, the behavior that they display is very fun. So the fact that I can come in here and see these amazing fish that are 5, 6, 7+ inches with lots of amazing blues and golds and oranges and red colors, it's just something that you don't see in a lot of other fish. So I very much enjoy them for that reason. Now, the peacocks and haps are more of open water swimmers, so I like to have kind of more of an open area for them to swim back and forth and not have like a whole lot of caves and other things in a tank, where the Mbuna are a little bit different. Before I go on, do me a big favor, hit that like button. It really does help my channel and it helps the algorithm. And if you don't mind, please do consider subscribing to my channel. I would very much appreciate it. Now going on to the Mbuna, let's start off with the Saulosi tank behind me. The Saulosi are a dwarf cichlid. So a dwarf cichlid is a cichlid that's smaller than a normal full size, and it's great because you can keep them in smaller tanks. You can keep them in like a 40-gallon breeder as an example and have like a nice colony, where some of the other species you're going to want to have something that's, you know, 75 gallons or larger. So the dwarf cichlids do have that advantage. With the Saulosi, what I love about them is that they are beautiful and they're dimorphic in color. So it's very apparent which one is which. The males are the females because the females stay yellow and the males are blue. Now when they're first born and as they're growing up, when they're small fish, which are called fry, they're all yellow, and the males will start to develop their blue coloration once they hit sexual maturity, kind of in that juvenile age. So you can tell the females are yellow, you can see that the males are blue. Sometimes you'll have like a male that's subdominant or not fully grown out yet, and you'll see like muted colors that are more like a lavender, so in between the blue and the yellow, or you'll see like yellow with dark stripes on it, and that's because it's just a male that's usually smaller, that hasn't reached full maturity yet, and is either, you know, not fully developed or not wanting to show the colors. So it's kind of trying to look a little bit more female-like in order to avoid getting chased and beat up by some of the larger males. And when they grow up, then they'll start to develop their own full coloration. With Mbuna, them being Mbuna, I like to have lots of caves and hiding places and rock work. So Mbuna is a rock-dwelling fish, so they have a different swim pattern than like a peacock, where a peacock is going to be more of an open swimmer, swimming back and forth and things like that. The Mbuna kind of go up and down and around, so oftentimes you'll see them, you know, swim through, you know, very small and tight places, and that's what they like to have, and they feel secure in those environments. So I always provide that for my Mbuna. And then the other Mbuna tank that I have is a larger, it's a 75-gallon, they're both 75 gallons, both the dwarf cichlid tank and my larger Mbuna tank, which is behind the camera, which you can't see, but obviously we'll have lots of B-roll. So the larger Mbuna behave the same way as a smaller Mbuna, but they're just double or triple the size, and again, you know, the same type of behavior of having lots of rock work and caves and things like that for them to hide and go in and out of. Now, in all of my cichlid tanks, you might notice that they're heavily stocked. And the reason why is this helps in curbing aggression. Well, not necessarily curbing aggression, but curb targeting. So as an example, in this tank behind me, let's say that I have that one male as being a butthead, and he's trying to spawn with a female in there. But let's just say that there's that one male in there, and maybe there's 5 other fish, only 5 other fish. It's very easy for that male to target those 5 fish and go after them and attack them and probably kill them. But if there's like 15 or 18 of them in there, it's hard for him to target one fish, and they kind of get all lost in the crowd. And so it's kind of like you get lost in the numbers, and it's hard for that, you know, aggressive fish to target that one fish. And so overcrowding does help in reducing injury or any kind of stress to a fish because one is not getting picked on all the time. And the same thing for the Mbuna tank, they're both heavier stocked. So one thing that's very different between Mbuna and peacock is their diets. So besides the fact that they're different types of fish and they have different behaviors as far as swimming and things like that, their diets are very different. So Mbuna are more on the herbivore side or omnivore, but heavily on the vegetation side, where the peacocks are more of like a piscivore and are going to be focused more on eating, you know, animal-based proteins. So, you know, small crustaceans, smaller fish, things like that. And on the Mbuna side, you know, in the wild, they're usually eating algae and scraping algae off of rocks in Lake Malawi. So feeding them is going to be a little bit different. You might feed like a more, you know, heavier protein-based pellet food to the peacocks, and with the Mbuna, you might do like more of a vegetarian type of prepared food, like a flake food or a pellet food, or you might even want to supplement their diet with actually fresh vegetables like zucchini and spinach and, you know, seaweed, stuff like that. So that's a big difference between the two species. So anyway, that's it. I didn't want to make a long video about these. I made lots of videos before, but just wanted to kind of talk to you about the 3 Malawi tanks that I have, and just show these amazing, beautiful fish. Now, if you can deal with the aggression and if you have the space and the ability to have a larger tank, then I highly recommend them because they are very hardy. They're beautiful to look at. They're readily available in pretty much any area. And they're just really fun fish to interact with, watch them breed and spawn and interact with one another. So I do have a lot of African cichlid content on this channel, which we covered earlier. So I do have a playlist, and I've got lots of other videos that you'll probably want to watch in the future. So go ahead and check the links down below in the description and some of those at the end card. And hopefully you'll continue to further your journey in learning about African cichlids. That's all I had for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. No, that's all terrible.